Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks.
My name is Michael, and I don't care how this sounds right now, I swear I almost killed someone that morning. So that's it? I screamed, standing barefoot in the driveway, wearing nothing but basketball shorts and betrayal. You're just gonna walk out? She didn't even turn around. She was already at the car, throwing her stupid designer bag into the passenger seat like I wasn't even there. Like 2 weeks ago she hadn't promised me forever. Like I hadn't just handed her my whole life. Natalie, don't you dare drive off right now, I warned, my voice cracking mid-sentence. You think I won't follow you? She spun around. Finally. Eyes sharp. Cold. You don't get to tell me what to do, she hissed. Not anymore. The silence in my chest was louder than the shouting. I took a step forward, trembling, not from fear, but confusion. What the hell did I do to deserve this, Nat? She laughed. She actually laughed. Like I was some sad, pathetic joke unraveling in front of her. And maybe I was. Because in that moment, nothing made sense. Not the wedding. Not the vows. Not the way she used to look at me like I was her whole future. And definitely not the suitcase she dragged across the concrete like a silent bum. You existed, Michael, she snapped. That's what you did. You existed long enough for me to realize I made the biggest mistake of my life. I blinked. My whole face flushed. That mistake being, marrying me? I whispered. Obviously. 2 weeks. 14 days. That's all it took for her to tear me down to rubble. I reached out, not to hurt her, not to stop her, but to understand. Natalie, please. If I hurt you, if something happened, can we at least talk about it? I don't deserve to be thrown out like this. We're married. She rolled her eyes so hard it looked like it hurt. Oh my God, you're so dramatic. I don't owe you anything just because we signed a piece of paper. Grow up. And there it was. The slap that didn't need a hand. The kind of cold truth that shatters your spine without ever touching your skin. I could feel something inside me snap, not anger. Not yet. Something worse. Hope. Natalie, 2 weeks ago you stood in front of my mom and promised me a life, I said, louder now, stepping closer. You swore on your father's grave that I was the man you prayed for. She leaned against the car door, arms crossed, every word laced in venom. Yeah, well, I guess I was lying to both of us. You weren't it. You're still not it. And I'm not about to waste another year figuring that out. I couldn't breathe. Not because of the shouting, but because I believed her. I believed everything she ever said. And now I was realizing none of it was ever real. Not the kisses. Not the late-night talks. Not even the wedding ring still clinging to her finger like a lie waiting to be peeled off. My voice dropped. My soul dropped with it. Who is he? Silence. Her eyes darted away for a second, just a second. And that's all I needed. There is someone else, I said, barely audible. You already moved on. She shrugged. Let's not pretend I was ever really into you. I just needed security. A reset. You were a safe choice, Michael. That's it. And that's when I snapped. You used me? I exploded. Was any of it real to you, or was I just a placeholder until your ex got his act together? She looked dead at me now, no fear, no shame, just pure, surgical cruelty. I used you the same way you used me, she said. You wanted a trophy wife. A fantasy. A pretty little thing on your arm to make you feel like a man. So don't play the victim. You got what you wanted too. No, Natalie, I growled, pointing at her. What I wanted was a partner. What I wanted was you. Not this version. Not this cruel stranger who can burn down everything without blinking. She opened the car door, calm as ever. No, what you wanted was control. And when you realized I'm not a docile little housewife, you panicked. I never controlled you, I said, stepping in her path. All I ever did was love you. And here it came. The real dagger. The one she saved for the end. Love isn't enough, she said coldly. Not when it's coming from someone like you. The car door slammed. The engine roared. And just like that, she was gone. I stood there, trembling, in the silence she left behind. The birds chirped like nothing happened. The neighbors peeked through their windows like it was just another Sunday drama. But inside me, a war had started. And I hadn't even begun to understand what the hell went wrong. But I would. Even if it destroyed me. Because love? Love doesn't vanish in 2 weeks. Unless it was never there to begin with. It's funny how the mind works when you're in love. How it filters out the lies. How it softens the sharp edges of red flags, paints them white, and calls them quirks. I see it all now. But back then? I saw what I wanted to see. I remember the day we got engaged. I had this whole planned rooftop dinner, fairy lights, a jazz band playing our song in the background. But she ruined it. She was mad I made her climb stairs in heels. Mad the food came late. Mad the wine wasn't French. Still, when I pulled out the ring, she smiled like she meant it. And I thought, that's all that matters. I should have noticed how fast she said yes. No tears. No excitement. Just a calculated nod, like she was saying yes to a deal, not a lifetime. The wedding was worse. My mom cried through the whole ceremony, Natalie. She kept checking her makeup on her phone. Didn't even notice me stuttering through my vows. Didn't flinch when I called her my miracle. And the honeymoon? She canceled it last minute. Said she wasn't feeling well. Said she needed space to adjust. I offered to stay back and be with her. She said no. That space was the first crack in the wall, the first little echo that told me I'd married a ghost. But I still kissed her goodnight. Still brought her coffee every morning. Still held her hand when we went out, even though she kept yanking it away like I was embarrassing her. I thought maybe she was just stressed. Maybe she needed time. New life, new expectations, it could overwhelm anyone, right? But I started noticing the distance. She started sleeping with her back to me. Her phone never left her hand. She locked it even in the shower. Changed passwords. Started texting in another room. I caught her smiling at a message once. I asked who it was. She snapped. Called me insecure. Told me I was choking her already. Said I needed to relax. That word, relax. She used it like a blade every time I asked a question. Every time I reached out with genuine love, she treated it like a trap. And God help me, I thought I was the problem. I apologized for asking. Apologized for checking in. Apologized for caring too much. I didn't know I was apologizing for being a placeholder. Until one night she left her email open on my laptop. Just for a second. One stupid second. I wasn't trying to pry. But I saw the subject line. Can't wait until this is over. It was sent 2 days after our wedding. From her ex. The same guy she swore she hadn't spoken to in years. The same guy she told me was toxic and dead to her. The one I begged her to block, months before the wedding. And she said she already had. But there he was. Sitting in her inbox. Telling her he missed her. Telling her she looked so hot in that wedding dress, even though it should have been his ring on her hand. And she replied. She replied with a laughing emoji and one sentence that burned itself into my skull. Just a little longer. That. When my stomach turned. That's when the foundation cracked. And still. I didn't confront her. Can you believe that? I closed the laptop, took a walk, told myself I must have misunderstood. That maybe it was a joke. A test. An old draft. Anything but the truth. Because the truth? The truth meant she was never mine to begin with. And I wasn't ready to face that. So I swallowed it. Swallowed the fear. Swallowed the disgust. Swallowed the fact that I was living with a woman who could sleep in my bed and dream about someone else. For 2 more weeks I played the role. The doting husband. The fixer. The fool. Until that morning. Until the suitcase. Until the driveway. And that final sentence. You were just a safe choice. You know what kills a man? Not a bullet. Not a punch. Not even betrayal. It's knowing you were never truly seen. That you gave someone your everything. And they only ever saw you as a backup plan. I was the safety net. The waiting room. The in-between. And now I'm standing in the wreckage of what I thought was love, trying to figure out who the hell I am without her lies holding me together. But here's what she doesn't know. I may have been broken. But I didn't stay broken. I didn't cry the day she left. I sat on the floor with that damn suitcase still open in the hallway. And I didn't shed a single tear. I just stared. At the empty spaces where her shoes were. At the dent in the couch cushion where she always curled up to scroll through Instagram. At the untouched coffee mug she left behind, lipstick still on the rim like a middle finger. I didn't cry. But I couldn't move either. Because somewhere in the middle of that silence, something cracked open inside me. Not a sob. Not grief. Something colder. Something like calculation. I started replaying everything, every moment, in reverse. The engagement. The first fight she picked about my salary. The way she avoided my family, rolled her eyes when my sister hugged her too long. The way she smirked when I said I'd paid off her car loan as a wedding gift. I remembered things I wanted to forget. How she once joked, "I'd never date a guy like you if I didn't think you were going places." How she winced when I wore cheap cologne. How she flirted with my boss at our wedding reception, then told me I was being jealous when I pulled her aside. All those moments that didn't sit right. Now they felt like daggers I'd willingly stabbed into my own back. She wasn't hiding it. Not really. She never needed to. Because I was too busy hoping she loved me to see she didn't. And when that truth finally settled in, really landed, I did something I didn't expect. I logged into our joint phone plan. I'm not proud of it. But when someone rips the floor out from under you, you stop playing fair. There it was. Hundreds of texts to a number saved as Gina. Except I know Gina. She's real. She's also 63, works in HR, and wouldn't know how to send a GIF if her life depended on it. So I did a reverse lookup. And what do you know? Gina was him. Jason. Her ex. Her toxic, lying, emotionally abusive ex who manipulated her for years, her words, not mine. The same Jason she told me to stop being insecure about. They were texting every night. FaceTiming. Sending voice notes. Meeting up while I worked late shifts to pay for the wedding she walked out of. And then I found the photo. It wasn't graphic. Just the two of them at a rooftop bar. Her in the dress I bought. Him with his arm around her like he'd won some kind of prize. Caption. Should have been you the whole time, Redheart. My heart didn't break then. It hardened. Because now it wasn't just betrayal. It was mockery. They used me. She used me. Used my stability. My steady job. My last name. My damn healthcare plan. She married me so she could tell her parents she'd settled down. So she could shut her mom up about growing up. So she could look respectable long enough to scheme her way back into the arms of the guy who never respected her. And when she got what she needed, she left. No warning. No apology. Not even shame. Just silence. You think that kind of thing would destroy a man, and maybe it did for a minute. But then something inside me clicked. If she thought she could play me for a fool, then walk away untouched, unseen, unexposed, she had no idea who she married. Because now I was done being the nice guy. I was done wondering what I did wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I loved her. I gave her everything. And now I was going to take everything back. The next day, I went to the bank. Turns out, she'd already pulled half our savings. Left just enough to avoid suspicion, but I wasn't blind anymore. I froze the accounts. Called the credit card company. Had her removed. Contacted the leasing office. Had her name taken off the lease. Changed the locks. Deleted her fingerprints from the smart home system. She didn't even fight me on it, which tells you something, doesn't it? She was already living somewhere else. Probably with him. Probably laughing. So I made one more call. My cousin, Paul. He's an IT guy, works for a private security firm. I told him everything. He asked me one question. Do you want revenge, or do you want closure? I told him the truth. I want both. You ever hit a point where pain stops feeling like pain? Where the ache becomes something sharp, like hunger? That was me. Not crying in the dark. Not begging anyone to come back. Not stalking her social media for breadcrumbs. No. I was planning. Not out of spite. But because when someone breaks you, they expect you to stay broken. And I couldn't let that be my story. So I started slow. First, I dug into Jason. And oh, he was exactly the loser I always suspected he was. Unemployed again. Living off investors, which meant asking his mom for rent money every 3 months. No steady income, no insurance, no assets. But plenty of ego. He'd been couch surfing before Natalie moved in. She wasn't running to love. She was running back to the chaos she thought she missed. I pulled records. Paul helped. Turns out, Jason had a few skeletons. Fraud allegations, unpaid loans, a DUI nobody talks about. And guess whose name was now showing up next to his on lease agreements? Yep. Natalie went from having a husband with a 750 credit score and a salary job to living with a man who still owed Blockbuster late fees. But it wasn't enough to know. I needed her to feel it. So I waited. I didn't post anything. Didn't text. Didn't block her. I let the silence make her itch. And just when I knew the tension would be at its peak 2 weeks after she left, I sent a message. Just one line. I'd like to meet. 1 hour. Coffee house on 6th. No drama. Just truth. No response. But she showed up. Of course she did. She walked in like she hadn't detonated my entire world. Hair curled. Designer shades. That fake cool girl calm that cracks the second someone calls it out. She sat down across from me and said, "You wanted truth? So do I. Let's not waste time." I smiled. Because that's what she never understood. I had all the time in the world. "Why'd you do it?" I asked. Not angrily. Just, plainly. She tilted her head, fake confused. Do what? Like I was crazy. Like the wedding, the lies, the betrayal were just misunderstandings. So I gave her nothing. Just looked at her and waited. And she cracked. "We weren't right, Michael. You were suffocating me. I made a mistake, okay? I thought I wanted that life, your life, but I don't. I want something real. Something passionate." I blinked. So you wanted poverty with Jason instead of peace with me? She flinched. For a second, the mask dropped. You think this is easy for me, she snapped. You think I wanted to hurt you? I didn't plan this. It just happened. There it was. The anthem of the selfish. It just happened. She said she didn't want anything from me. That she was moving on. That I should too. And I nodded like I believed her. But as she got up to leave, I said, one more thing. Did you know Jason's being investigated for tax fraud? She froze. Didn't turn. Just stiffened. I could see it. The first crack of fear. I leaned in. You're on that lease now. You sign anything for him? A car? A credit line? Because if you did, Natalie, you're in this now. Legally. Financially. And they're coming. Not for you, not yet, but he won't go down alone. She didn't speak. Didn't breathe. And that silence? That silence was everything. I stood up. Dropped the file on the table, the one Paul helped me print. Emails. Bank screenshots. Leases. A timeline. And one note at the bottom. You're in deeper than you think. Then I walked out. And for the first time in weeks, I felt tall again. That night, I got a message. Not from her. From Jason. Back off. You don't know who you're messing with. I laughed. Because that's the thing about people like him. They think bark is bite. They think a man who once loved gently doesn't know how to defend himself fiercely. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Because my next move wasn't a threat. It was a call to the IRS. With evidence. With names. With enough digital breadcrumbs to trigger a full audit. Not illegal. Not dramatic. Just consequences. And trust me, people like Jason don't survive consequences. Natalie? She stopped posting after that. Went dark on social media. Deleted comments. Turned off tagging. You know what that means? It means the fallout began. It means she realized too late that she didn't marry a fool. She married a man who kept receipts. 2 weeks later, I was invited to a charity gala through work. Nothing fancy, just suits, smiles, handshakes. I almost didn't go. Until I saw the guest list. Jason Whitmore, registered attendee. Accompanied by, guess who? Natalie. I stared at the screen for a full minute, letting the name sit there. They weren't hiding anymore. They wanted to be seen. I RSVP'd yes. The night of the gala, I showed up late, not to make an entrance. Just to observe. And there they were. Natalie in a silver dress, like a second wedding gown. Jason in a suit 2 sizes too small for his ego. I watched them laugh, pose for photos. Like they were proud of what they'd done. Like they'd won. And that's when I knew, this was the moment. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to argue. I needed only one thing, truth. So when Jason stood near the bar with his drink, spinning tales about his next big project, I walked up. Calm. Polite. Jason, I said, nodding. Natalie. They both turned. Natalie blinked like she saw a ghost. Jason grinned. Fake. Wide. Desperate. Mike, man, hey. You've been served, I said. And handed him the envelope. He stared at it. Confused. What is this? A formal IRS inquiry. Tax fraud, evasion, misappropriation of investment funds. It'll make sense once you flip past the first 5 pages. His jaw locked. You little. Don't finish that, I said. This event is being live streamed. And it was. Cameras. Mics. Phones everywhere. People had already started watching. Someone was recording. Natalie stepped forward. "You don't have to do this here." I turned to her, and for the first time, I wasn't looking at the woman I married. I was looking at a stranger. "You did what you did. I let it go. But dragging my name into his scams? That was your choice. You signed documents. You vouched for his credibility." She shook her head. "I didn't know." "You knew," I interrupted. "And you'll have the chance to say that under oath." That was it. I walked away. No mic drop. No speech. No screaming. Just facts. And you know what the crowd did? They clapped. Not loud. Not dramatic. But in that weird, slow ripple way when people respect what you just did. A week later, Jason's accounts were frozen. Natalie tried to reach me, email, text, even showed up at my job. I never responded. She sent a voicemail once, crying. Said she didn't know how things went so wrong. That she missed the safety I gave her. That Jason was turning on her now, blaming her for everything. But I deleted the message. Because here's the thing. She made her choice the second she traded loyalty for lust. Security for drama. Truth for adrenaline. And I wasn't her parachute. Not anymore. 6 months later, I heard Jason pled out. Fines, probation, barred from managing funds ever again. Natalie moved back in with her parents. I ran into her once grocery store parking lot. She looked tired. Pale, smaller somehow. She saw me. Didn't say a word. Just nodded. And I nodded back. That was it. No revenge speech. No petty insults. Just two people standing in the wreckage one of them caused. And I walked away clean. People ask me if I'd ever love again. And here's what I say. I never stopped loving. I just stopped offering it to people who treat hearts like stepping stones. I'm not broken. I'm rebuilt. Stronger. Smarter. Sharper. Because pain doesn't destroy you unless you let it. Sometimes, it refines you. Moral of the story? Be careful who you betray. Because the one you think is soft might just be the one who buries you in silence.